Okay, guys, so it's finally time for me to get out here and make a video. Now, everybody knows that the world's a mess now, man. If you don't know that by now, something's wrong. You've been hiding out. I mean, things are falling apart. It doesn't matter if you're a liberal looking at the world, if you're a conservative looking at the world, if you're a Christian, if you're an atheist. Everybody's talking about how much of a mess the world's in, man. I'd be here all day trying to make a video talking about it. But let me tell you here, I'm a Christian, and I don't know how many times I've sat around with other Christians talking about how much the United States is falling apart. That's where I live. I'm an American, and we're always blaming it on somebody. We're always blaming it on Washington. We're blaming it on the liberals. We're blaming it on the non-Christians. We're blaming it on the devil. And I was like that for a long time, man. I was like, man, why are these politicians making all these bad decisions? And I've spent a lot of my life studying the church and traveling from church to church doing ministry. And I finally had a big wake-up call this year. And the thing is, most of what we're blaming on all these other forces, all these other people, the truth is, it's our own fault. Let me show you a quote real quick. It's been said that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil in the world is for good men to do nothing. And see, that's what's happened. When I start to look at Washington, and I'd say, our country's almost 50-50 now between liberals and conservatives. I mean, the last couple elections have been so close. This one was so close. Mr. Trump got in there, but literally lost the popular vote. And I thank God that he's in there. I think he's a good guy. But at the end of the day, he's not going to be able to fix or break the problem. The thing that's changing is our society. And who's responsible for winning this society? It's, other people. And as a Christian, we are losing the battle. We are not being relevant to the next generation. My grandparents' generation, from the 40s, 50s, man, there was like 80% of them were Christians. Now, Christianity among the newest generations, millennials and the next one, the next generation is less than 10% Christian. We've lost the next generation. And the thing is about the politicians and what's going on in Washington that everybody wants to talk about is the popular vote is putting those people in office, and they're doing what the rest of the country needs. Let me put it like this. If you don't have a Christian background, if you're not a Christian, if you don't have faith in God to take care of you, you don't have a Christian family that's going to help you in a time of need, that's going to help provide for you if something goes wrong, if things fall apart, then you're going to vote socialist. You're going to vote for liberal ideas. If you don't have the moral layout of Christianity and the morality that it brings, then why are you going to stand up for the things you stand up for? So I guess what I'm saying is, when we're complaining about the morality of our country falling apart, let's not blame it on the politicians for voting this way. We need to blame it on ourselves for not reaching out and reaching the next generation for the cause of Christ. Jesus is a wonderful, loving cause, but he didn't intend for us to just go sit in some church and say, oh, we're Christians, we're better than everybody. He got out there and he went to the sick people, the lame people. He literally healed people. He ate with tax collectors and the worst of the worst. And, it seems like Christians today, we're just getting into our little church boxes. We're doing this little church ritual every day, and we have these beautiful church buildings like nothing's even wrong in the world. We've got to get outside of our churches and start making a difference in this world, because if we don't, somebody else will. That quote that I said, there's always going to be bad people. There's always going to be forces. There's always going to be greed working in the world. The quote was, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil in the world is for good men to do nothing. In other words, if we just stay in our boxes, if Christians don't get out and start doing something to change the world, then evil is going to triumph. It's always waiting outside the door. It's always waiting to come in. And I mean, the evil's coming in every way. Perversions, there's, murder's way up. Just immorality, sexual sin is way up. All the LGBT stuff coming in. Islam is a huge one. And we're letting Islam in blindly because the next generation, they don't really believe in Christianity. They believe, it's a nice little thing that our parents liked. Islam, it might as well be the same thing. They're sneaking in here pretending to be a peaceful religion, then they're just going to, overthrow everybody with Sharia law. And it's a horrible mistake. Europe is just a mess, and Europe's basically gone at this point. There's no turning back the influx of Islam into Europe. And in the United States, we're right behind it. And but if we don't reach the next generation with the true message of Jesus Christ, then how are they going to know the difference? Sometimes I find myself saying, man, these next generation, man, they're all just idiots. How could they be so dumb? But the thing is, it's our own fault for not teaching them any better. It's our own fault for not being Christians. And now when I say teaching and changing the world, I'm not talking about just preaching. Because, there's a lot of preaching that goes on. There's a lot of judgment that goes on. But I'm talking about showing the world that the love of Christ is real. Taking what Christ did for us by forgiving us and saving us and setting us free and giving us joy and peace, not only of heaven, but just joy and peace every day and helping us through life. If we don't take that and make a difference in the world by helping those, by showing love, you can try and go to overseas somewhere and feed the homeless people and do community development. But here in America, people just need to be loved. People need to know that they're cared about. That's what I'm talking about when I say getting out of our churches. And this isn't something we can, this is a nice thought, let's think about it. We have got to do something drastic because we are losing the war. We are losing our very own country. We are losing the world. We are losing the world. We're talking about lives in the balance. We've got to turn off sports. We've got to turn off whatever we're paying attention to. Turn off that TV. Stop doing what you're doing. Stop going to church and pretending that the world's just perfect and everybody outside that's not listening is just dumb. We are the ones at fault. Church, Christians, let's wake up. Let's get off our pews. Let's stop trying to think that it's the preacher's job or somebody else's job. It's time that we get out there and make a difference in our world, because I'm telling you, if we don't do it, nobody will. And evil is triumphing beyond my greatest imaginations. In 10 years ago, if you told me the world would be in this shape now, I wouldn't have believed it. But it is in so many fronts. But the crazy thing is, it's our own faults. I'm going to make some more videos, talk about this more. Feel free to comment. God help us.